Welcome back to another episode of Pull Up with Myles and Owen. Another really, really special episode that we're excited about today. We've got the three co-owners and the three co-founders of Blazers Women's Sports Bar, one of the newest sports bars in the country, but also here in Brooklyn, New York. We've been waiting for that for a very long time. And we're going to just talk to you guys kind of about how the bar came to be, what interested you in women's sports, and everything around that, probably. Caroline, Kane, you've been a friend of mine from a distance before this. That's super exciting. Debany Davila, and then at the end we've got Chandler Robertson. Guys, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks so much for having us. Thanks for having us. Thank you.
First of all, I think that we have to start here. How do you all know each other? I guess we'll start with Caroline. We'll just go down the line.
So honestly, we all met on Hinge several times, but Chandler and I met on Hinge shortly thereafter. Debany and I met through Hinge. We all bonded over women's sports, specifically the New York Liberty, and became fast friends. Also, we're gay.
You guys have to get the Hinge partnership. That's like the biggest success, maybe second biggest success story after Zoran.
That's the thing. I keep saying, like, we're like the new pivot where, you know, you might not meet the love of your life, but you might meet your future business partner. And
there you go.
Almost better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're contractually obligated to stay together.
Yeah.
So this is kind of building off that, but how did Blazers come to be? What happened between that point and then here we are with a beautiful sports bar in Williamsburg?
I think that as we developed our friendship, we talked a lot about, you know, the small how's your day, and Caroline was having some trouble with, you know, just feeling unfulfilled at work, and I relate a lot because we're both lawyers, and so we were always on her about, okay, so are you gonna look for jobs, or what are you gonna do? And Chandler had this moment, it was like, okay, if you could do anything, what would you do? And she said, I would open a women's sports bar. And I don't think that any of us were really serious, but Chandler comes to me and says, we want to open a women's sports bar. And I love businesses and I love women's sports. So I was like, if you guys are serious, which I didn't think any of us were serious, like, I'm down, let's do this. And so we like to say we didn't U-Haul into a relationship together, but we U-Hauled into a business partnership together. So then, I kid you not, I think it was like maybe 6 months after we all became friends and like collectively, we started meeting to talk about, okay, what do we want to call it? What's the details, the business plan? And shortly everything started coming together because we were meeting once a month and then started meeting even more frequent. But yeah, we feel a lot of it has been like the universe plotting for this to happen, you know, because as much as it's been like jokes here and there, we were like, we could do this and we need this here. So that's how it went.
Yeah, I think after the initial conversation I had with Caroline where she said that idea, I like brought it up to Debany, and then that was when she was like, well, we could get a business plan going. And I was like, oh, right, we could get a business plan going. And like kind of like, and I think that was kind of a running theme where none of us really thought we were going to open a women's sports bar, but we kept taking all the steps to open a women's sports bar, and then it kind of happened. But I think, you know, like between all three of us, like at any point, like one of us would just take the next step forward to like keep this going, and the other two would then follow suit, and like everyone would just keep inching forward in a way where it felt so surreal the whole time, where it's like, no, this isn't going to happen, but we are going to apply for an LLC, or no, this isn't going to happen, but we are going to actually start seriously looking at locations and all of these different things. And so it felt like, yeah, so many ways in which like the universe pushed us along and showed us all these signs or kind of led us in a specific direction, but also in the way like the three of us also like helped guide each other. And whenever someone was like losing a little steam, the other two would come in and like help pick up. And yeah, I always feel like there's no way I could have done this alone, or even maybe with just like one of y'all. I really felt like this was a true like holy trinity. Yeah.
Yeah, we all feel that way. Like it really has been the three of us. sometimes two people aren't feeling it, and one person is inching us forward, and we're like, okay, yeah, we got this. But I think the most beautiful part has been like you have to be some sort of delusional to do these things, and I think that's one of my favorite phrases from Chandler, because it really was like we all believed in this, even if someone was telling us like this is crazy, and still being here in the space that we've made, it's like, wow, this is crazy, but we did it because we believed in this delusional fantasy that this could happen, and it did.
As someone who I can't be accountable to myself. Like, I can't tell myself I'm going to go to the gym every day. But if I have a friend that says, I'm going to be at the gym, meet me there, then I'll make sure that I'm there before it opens. And I feel like having other people to hold you accountable, but also like, it sounds like you guys were almost like playing a game of chicken, and then the others were like daring you.
Sports bar? No, you won't open a women's sports bar. Yeah.
Do it, you won't.
Yeah.
Don't dare me to do it. So, Chandler, what was your job before here? Because they were both lawyers.
Yeah, I worked in entertainment. I was a talent agent, and I booked speaking engagements for celebrities. So very random. But I had grown to really love the New York Liberty, and so and I love the community that women's sports has like really given me. So I think when Caroline gave me this idea, I was like, well, I am done making rich people more money. I would really love to do something else. And I always say, like, if you're going to go into business, do it with lawyers because they're very smart and it's really easy to convince them to leave their jobs. So yeah, highly recommend.
How did the three of you, because you had never worked together on any kind of project, know that could work? Or were there any kind of hiccups at the beginning where you had to figure out each other's, and I'll go to you here, Caroline, figure out each other's workarounds or strategies or any conflicts early on? Because there's so much stuff that I'm sure you guys did not know how to do. And you brought your own expertise, but this is a physical building that we're sitting in that you guys like documented how much you were doing yourselves. How did that come about, and how'd you approach those conflicts early on?
Yeah, I mean, as was mentioned, we kind of jumped into this after knowing each other less than a year. So really, there was this period of time where I think we were becoming closer as friends and getting to know each other, and also getting to know each other as business partners. And yeah, I mean, literally the first year we were just planning and meeting, and I think we really got to know each other as people and how each other works. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't always like fun, but I think we kind of had this larger purpose in mind, which helped. And also early on, we figured out that anything was figure outable. So we knew if there was an issue, we would be able to figure that out, whether it was personal, whether it was some sort of weird, I don't know, business thing, money thing. We just always kind of approached it like, we'll just figure this one out.
Yeah, I also was just saying, like, hopefully y'all say, like, think this about me, but, like, they're two, like, just good people. And so, obviously, it was a risk to do this, knowing each other for such a little amount of time. And part of it was just, like, luck that I think the three of us got along so well and worked together really well. But also, like, Caroline and Debany are both, like, just really, really decent, kind-hearted people, which makes it easy to like work through conflict with one another, or like just if something's going on with the business, because I know I'm doing it alongside and for two people that care about me as much as I care about them.
I don't care about her. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's like giving I talk about this is like sometimes we have moments, human moments, where you're not feeling, this is an exhausting thing we've done. But I think I talk about giving each other the benefit of the doubt, that, the other person didn't say something to spite me. It's just I'm exhausted or something like that. But it just comes down to giving each other grace. But the main thing that has kept us going is I like to talk about our why as like a North Star. And our why is women's sports fans. Like, it's us. Like, we are women's sports fans that couldn't get the Liberty game on in a bar full of men, And so if we focus on the women's sports fans, all of the other things, as we talked about, is like figure outable, which is something we got from the women's sports bar owners in Denver, the 99ers. And they said, yeah, we met them and they were so nice. And they're like, everything is figure outable. That's what they would tell themselves. So it's that effort to do something collectively for women's sports fans is always going to be our North Star, and make everything else is going to figure itself out within that if you focus on building this with love and purpose instead of, like being frustrated with each other and stuff like that. But yeah, it really has worked out because we are really good people to one another and to others.
That's so cool. And the women's sports fans here are so overjoyed that these places are popping up. Like it is.
Company included.
Yes. Yeah. Having never worked in this industry, in this space, what have been some of those figure outables that have maybe taken you by surprise or?
What hasn't? Well, first I want to talk about how one of those huge inching us forward moments was Chandler. Because me and Caroline, we were basically like, oh crap, we're doing this, because she got a job as a bartender outside of her 9 to 5. And that was because we were like, okay, yeah, you'll be bar manager. And so she went and ran with it. So we were kind of like, dang, she's not only like a 9 to 5, she's got a bartending gig. So it's like, that was one of the realest moments where we're like, okay, like we are committed to this, we are doing this. And so that was beautiful to see that she went not knowing anything, started working this, and has now done an insane job with like our bar, being our bar manager, making all the drinks and stuff. But I guess that's like a question for you. It's like,
No, I mean, I think like when we first started meeting, it was like so obvious to us that, we had to start from zero. And so we bought How to Open a Bar for Dummies. And like our first meetings were spent like reading it chapter by chapter together, which at the time feels so funny because I don't think we learned anything. But I mean, every step of this process has been a learning curve. And some things were easier to figure out than others. But I mean, we were very lucky that there's such a wide, vast, open community of hospitality folks in Brooklyn. And we made connections to a lot of them who are so willing to pick up the phone, answer an email, like get a coffee. And I would just like inundate with them with questions, like big and little. And everyone has been so kind. I mean, the pro of working in hospitality is that the people who work in here are pretty hospitable and like very kind to others. And so yeah, I feel like whether it's like just doing like a really intense like deep dive on the internet, because pretty much any problem that we've had, someone else has already had before and put it on Reddit, or finding someone who's, within this block or within this borough has been really great. And I think there's been so many things that we've had to learn along the way that almost nothing is like a curveball or a surprise, because everything was in that same way.
I just wanted to stay in just, you guys have all divvied up who has different responsibilities. So Chandler, I want to go back to you about taking on building out a bar menu and a cocktail list, and anything that might have been your responsibilities kind of fell under your purview, and what you learned from your other limited bartending experience before you took this on.
Shout out Saturn Road and Cobble Hill. The two owners of that spot were also a huge resource for us along the way. But I think the thing that I have learned the most is kind of just like quick problem solving and staying calm when things go wrong. And also something that I learned about my last job was just like, like I'm not curing cancer. And when things go wrong, it's gonna happen, it's gonna be okay. And if someone, if whatever the speaking engagement doesn't work out, that's fine. If we run out of a beer for a night, that's okay too. And trying to make sure that you're working with your bartenders to ensure that they feel like comfortable and can like give suggestions, because we had no experience coming into this, like we hired really smart people who had done this before and who were really excited to help us like build a space. I'm honestly like losing the train of thought that I had started in my head.
building out the menu.
Building out the menu. Oh, right. Okay. So I'm very lucky. I basically built a drink menu based on what I like to drink, and was like, well, I hope other folks like this too. But I had a list of ingredients and kind of what I want the drink to look like or feel like or taste like. And I was working with a friend of mine named Allie, who has been in the business for a long time, and she kind of came up with some like tentative recipes for me to start with, and then I would, play with them until I thought that I got it right. So I mean, it's a lot of trial and error. And even now, we're like still playing around with like updating recipes for certain drinks and things like that. So it's always just knowing that there's so many different things that we can always be doing to make things a little bit better. And like we always talk about like the 1%, and just always trying to find the tiniest little ways to just make the space feel like a little bit better, a little homier, a little bit more community oriented. And I think hopefully you feel that when you step in the space, like how loved it is.
For Debany, I'm going to hit you with a classic sports reporter question. Talk about the menu.
Talk about the menu?
Yeah.
So the food menu.
For the food menu, yeah.
Well, excuse me. The food was really, out of the three of us, I feel like I really do love like cooking and being in the kitchen. And I knew that I wanted to, because if we were going to do this, we needed to make it ours. So it needed to represent us. It needed to feel like us. So I felt like the menu was something that I could naturally add some of my Mexican heritage into. But we could also just have this sports bar menu, because I do feel like it doesn't have to be that crazy, because people are here for the experience. But you can also offer them really nice, like, sports bar food. So we knew the typicals, like chips and guac was easy. But then we started adding, like our game day dog is kind of the Mexican hot dog, where it's like wrapped in bacon and diced tomatoes, onions, stuff like that, and like drizzled in a cilantro sauce that I made. And like we have a dipping sauce that's like chipotle for our fries, our seasoned fries, and like I made the chipotle sauce. And it was so beautiful to do that and to see that people love the sauces, because you think to yourself, like, well, I don't have experience in like running a food, program or anything, but I do this at home, and then like people like it. So it is a lot of like giving yourself the credit that you can figure this out and people can like it, and yeah, trial and error, but it really wasn't that difficult. Once we knew that we wanted burgers, wings, hot dog, and then we wanted our, fried Oreos and churros in there. Yeah, it's dangerous. And then like our seasoned fries. So everything came so naturally together, because, I knew like that it didn't have to be crazy, but it could be really good and homey part. To kind of bring it around was the last thing we needed, was the kitchen to open, because it didn't happen until mid-February. But bringing it around and giving people the full experience of like, you can come in here and you can get your food, your drinks, your mocktails, anything. And so it was really nice, and it's been really nice to see people enjoying our food. And I think it'll be naturally evolving. So hopefully we'll have some tacos on there soon, and maybe a brunch menu on the weekends. But it's just so fun. Like, you have to have fun with it. And that's what I learned from sports too, is like, when I wasn't having fun in basketball, I wasn't playing good, but if you're having fun with it, with each other, and you're doing this together, all of a sudden you're like, wow, we're doing this, and we're proud, and people feel like that happiness and love in it.
We're going to have to come back, because the food menu was not there the last time we were here, and that all sounds so good. And yeah, peek behind the curtain, we have not had breakfast yet. So like this all sounds really, really good.
You know what? We'll tell our cook to come in.
Obviously, like we've talked about the drink menu and the food menu, but something that we love here is that there's just so much intentionality in the design. And I know that there's so much of you guys that has really come through, and it's the mural that's right behind us in this shot. It's the subway seats in the front that you guys went and got from that subway sale that is freezing all the time and raining somehow every single year. And it's a much longer process than it should be. And also just the bathrooms have the great touch where you've got the ESPN body issues in one of them and all the slam covers in the other. And it just feels like this space, every single foot of it has been measured out. What went into just that entire process for you guys?
And the first was we wanted to create a space that was warm and welcoming and bright and visually interesting, a little bit different from the traditional kind of dark, sticky sports bars we're used to. And the other thing was we had come up with the name Blazers kind of early on, and that was taken from the idea of trailblazing women. So we knew we wanted visually to represent those people and honor them. So, you know, I think once we found the space, pretty quickly we recognized that we wanted a mural back here because this was a perfect brick wall for that. We had like a little kind of weird nook, and we were like, let's, you know, get an artist to do something in there, and then the bathrooms were kind of just these blank walls, and we're like, well, this is like an opportunity to also honor these women. So that, you know, kind of, W mentioned our North Stars. I mean, you know, one of our North Stars was honoring these trailblazing people. So, you know, it was kind of an easy thing. And then once we found the artists we wanted to work with, they came to the table with a lot of great ideas, and we all kind of worked really well together to create this kind of visually interesting space.
The name Blazers comes from Trailblazers. Who are some of the women athletes that inspired you guys back in the day or just along the way?
Mine's on this wall. Diana Taurasi over there, Marta too, but Diana Taurasi was my goat, where I was like, oh, women, like she was on my wall. Like I would take out from the magazine the like Got Milk of her, you know. And I was like, okay, women can be on sports covers and stuff like that. So that was, to me, the biggest one.
I mean, Mia Hamm was just huge in my childhood. I mean, my friends and I all played soccer, and I remember watching her like in person and also on TV. She was just so cool and so good.
And she's in that room.
She is represented here.
I think I honestly was like, I didn't like follow any like athletes when I was a child, but like an athlete that inspired me as like a young adult and now would be Megan Rapinoe, in terms of just like her activism and her like deep integrity to equal pay, equal rights, and speaking out for those while also just being a total badass athlete. Yeah, she's a great one.
As lifelong New Yorkers, there was a very long drought here for championships in this city until women's sports came along, and then the last 3 years, getting 2 Gotham titles and getting the Liberty title have really helped to this, for the resurgence of winning in New York City sports. But also it comes at the same time that we're seeing this enormous growth across women's sports. You guys are opening a bar kind of at the perfect time, this bar at the perfect time, although we would have loved it a couple of years ago because we were also we were also the ones bugging bartenders and trying to find a TV in the corner somewhere. Yeah. But how much of that was just fortuitous timing versus how much was something that you guys were like, oh, this space is here and we're reacting to this moment? Because I know this is not like an endeavor that you can say overnight, okay, we're going to do this. A lot goes into it.
I mean, well, you have to mention the sports bra in Portland. You know, frankly, I don't know if this would have happened without that. That was really the first one, maybe in the world, definitely in this country. And it just seemed like the coolest thing, and it was a major hit. So big shout out to Jenny and Sports Bra. But yeah, I mean, I think so. I think it was a combination of the growth of women's sports, but also seeing, you know, these other kind of areas and industries picking up some of the what am I trying to say? Some of the fight. You know, it is this kind of large movement, and there is the sport aspect and the team aspect and the players, but there's also kind of all these side things like podcasts, like women's sports bars. You know, and I think kind of all of these things are coming together at the same time, and we're all, you know, helping each other through this movement, and that's been really cool to learn about and be part of.
Yeah, and especially when we started planning this before Liberty won, and Liberty had been to several finals and they had never been. When I got out here, I am a diehard like Las Vegas Aces fan. And I was just dead set on like, I'm not going to become a Liberty, because you know those fans that are like, I'm not going to wear another team's stuff, but I'm living in Brooklyn and I get to go to these games, and it's so hard not to immediately fall in love with Liberty. And so it's been so beautiful. I could like honestly cry, because it was so beautiful to not be a part of the fan base in a sense. Like I was going because I love women's sports, but I didn't really consider myself a Liberty fan at the beginning. But then like to obviously be taken in by how incredible that environment and the fans are, and then to then become this diehard fan where I was even cheering for them the next year against Aces because, I was like, Aces have won. Like, come on. But then to see, like, we were already deep in the planning as we won and, like, together to see, like, wow, we're going to do this and we just won a championship, and to be in the parade of it, like, we were at the parade together. And it was just like such a confirmation of what we had already been planning for, almost a year. And so it's been so beautiful to see, like, we had started planning this and the universe keeps showing women's sports is like getting bigger and bigger. So we're like, yes, Sports Bra clocked it. Now we're jumping, and now like the world is getting the attention that we've all wanted as women's sports fans to show you guys, So it's been so beautiful.
That's incredible. Also, shout out to Jenny, who was, I think, episode 41 of our podcast, and who, and the next Sports Bra is opening in my hometown in Portland, Maine, which I'm very excited about. Can't wait for that. What are some sports that you guys are excited to put on these screens that might not have gotten a lot of time or a lot of love?
Sorry, I think I can take this one because I do the schedules. So I do the schedules for us, like the TV schedules, and I don't take it for granted at all. And I think none of us take it for granted how we can be a form of education and like for women's sports in general. So like not only educating people on the Trailblazers and even us educating ourselves, because like we're not gonna know every single trail because there's so many. But for sports, of course everyone or a lot of people in the area are really into Liberty and Gotham, but it's been awesome to now be this like forced to teach people about Unrivaled. Like they didn't know about a 3-on-3 basketball league and how it's meant to be like faster and they're treating their players right, whatever. And so then being able to show, I get to basically, I make the schedules by like finding anything and everything that would be like big and then putting it out there to give people the excuse to gather here and come in and see the sports. So it's been beautiful because just this weekend, people came in to see women's rugby. That's something I'm excited about. I know nothing about it, but I'm like, why haven't I been watching it? It's probably because it's hard for me to even put it on a screen at home, but I want to show like women's rugby, and people have really been getting into hockey, especially with the Winter Olympics. So showing the Sirens, and it's been so awesome to be that, like showing gymnastics and softball. And so really we want to show as much as we can, because I think we're all just being around it. You start like, oh, what is rugby about? And like, what is hockey? What is icing? Like we've been learning what icing is, And so it's we don't take it for granted. Like we get to be a place that teaches about like the Trailblazers, and that, that we can put on rugby and you're like, oh my God, like this is cool. And you see people that are excited about it. And because it was women that play rugby came in and were like asking for it, like, and then they message us, like other people message us about other sports, F1 Academy, and we're like, yeah, let's show this. Like, why aren't we showing all the women's sports? Because there are some athletes out there that, I don't know, are playing, women's lacrosse in college. And it's like, yeah, but you are also being televised and can be on our screens and can have people gather to watch you. And so I really just want everyone to watch like everything there is, if we can, like to continue to showcase women that are playing sports.
So one of the things I know for me and for you too, we've spoken about this a lot, that really drew us to women's sports in general was just the sense of community. And I remember the first Liberty game I went to as an adult. I went up to Westchester in those dark years, and the team was really bad, and the facilities were even worse, and you can just see that no one was enjoying themselves as a player. But local Girl Scout troops came out to high five all the players before each half, and there were Planned Parenthood booths that were just set up kind of around the arena, or arena is a very generous term. And I was just like, oh, so I don't need to go into this toxic atmosphere to engage in competition. And that's saying that as a straight white guy. So like I can only imagine how that feels to people that don't automatically feel like they're part of that in crowd or welcomed into those spaces. It's been pretty incredible to see how quickly you guys have really engaged the community here. And it seems like every other night you guys have some kind of theme night going or a party or different groups. How did that come about? Did you guys do a lot of outreach, or as soon as you opened your doors, were people ready to just come in and say, we've been looking for this space for a very long time?
Carolyn's our event manager, but yeah, she should take it away.
Yeah, I think similar to us kind of craving a space for women's sports, I think a lot of other groups were as well. So much of the time we are approached by either teams, leagues, social clubs to do an event here because they know what we stand for and they're comfortable in the space and they like the space. So it's been a really nice thing to see. We also, are members of this community in New York City, in Brooklyn. So, for example, Debany plays in a local basketball league, and they come here on Sundays. So that was kind of an easy, natural fit. But yeah, it's just kind of been this beautiful thing of we get to see our communities and our friends, and people want to be in the space.
Yeah, I think that it started. It was easy for us to kind of gather a following by showing the behind the scenes before we even opened, because people, not only are we all on our phones, right, but people want to be a part of the process with you. And that's the easiest way that I saw, since I do socials. I'm like, I know that people want to be a part of this with us, and they want to almost already be a part of this space before we even opened. So we were posting our renovations. So I think it was a mix of people that were seeing us on socials, but it was really beautiful to see how the neighborhood welcomed us in, and people that admired that we were outside painting the fence in cold weather at 11 p.m. with our flashlights. Like, this is us. And so I think it's been really natural for the community to come on board when we have put so much of us into this and shown it in the video, in like our socials. And also just when the neighborhood can feel like, this place was needed, a different sports bar around here. And then they want to just like to come and gather. And when they come in, they don't feel like weird or whatever. And so it's been a natural fit of like the neighborhood, and then people hearing about us from like socials to like their friends and friends telling them, because I go to my basketball league every Sunday, and good friends of mine that hadn't been here yet, they were saying, oh my God, like my friends are telling me, have you been to Blazers? And like my friends from business school that like we don't know. And so I think that it was just like very natural for people to jump on board when we started posting about this, because we put a lot of us into socials, and it's just like, we don't want it to feel separated, because we are the people that would come in here, And so we are one with like the people that come, like you guys coming in here, like we can bond all day because we did this for us, right? So I think that that's how the community really has been built, is when they come in, one of us is talking to them, and like our bartenders and barbacks also talk to them, because like we've always said we want to have this place be a community space, a welcoming space. I don't like when I go to bars and the bartender's kind of like, yeah, what do you want, and get out, So it's been very natural to build the community, and we're so grateful that they have seen all like they see the love we put into it, and they want to support it, so they come and show up for us.
I know it's still early, but can you paint us a picture of the Blazers regulars?
Well, we already have 3 regulars that and they're very different. We are building more and more. Do you want to paint a picture?
Yeah, I think honestly it kind of runs the gamut. I think one of the things that I'm most proud of is how many people we've seen come back. And like I'm behind the bar multiple times a week, and so I feel like I spend a lot of time paying attention to like who comes in and what are they asking for, and are they having a good time. But it's been really great to like recognize so many people every week. And I think it's also, I feel very lucky that I think we've had so many different people walk in from across like the whole spectrum of identities. Obviously, we have a lot of women come in. We have a lot of queer folks come in. We have 2 regulars, are this couple, Clint and Kim, who live around the corner from us, but who were there at our very first watch party and donated to our Give Butter in the first weeks that we had opened it up, who have supported us the whole time. We have a lesbian who also lives around the corner who's here all the time. We also have an older lesbian named Logan who comes in quite frequently and orders a Kona.
And went to Miami to an Unrivaled game and brought us back the souvenir basketball we have.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, and like people do that. They bring us like bobbleheads from the Sirens games, and they're like, "Well, I thought you guys could use it."
I'm on a mission for bobbleheads. If anyone watching this has a bobblehead that they don't want, I will take very good care of it.
Women's sports bobblehead.
Women's sports related bobblehead. I guess I should specifically say I don't want just any bobblehead. But I'm willing to consider any offers.
But I think that has been surprising is like, we know that, you know, we are 3 queer women that started this. We knew that it was going to be, you know, people like us. But it's been so refreshing to also see a lot of other different sports fans. Because, you know, when Clint started coming in, you know, our regular that's this straight white man that just comes in and always wants women's hockey on. And, like, it's so refreshing to get to connect with different people that they just wanted to hang out in a space where they can watch women's sports. And I've noticed a lot of times people come in and they sometimes don't watch the screens because they're gathering, you know, they're all connecting with us, with one another. So yeah, a lot of different spectrums, and it's been so beautiful to be that safe space for all these different people to come in and enjoy women's sports.
I also just want to like give a shout out to the Williamsburg community specifically. I think, you know, I think I can speak for all of us when I say we feel very lucky to be here specifically. I never lived in Williamsburg, but I'd been in Brooklyn for a bit, so I know kind of the different neighborhoods. But all of our regulars, I would say, live within like a 3 or 4 block radius. Like they're right here, and just to feel embraced and loved by our neighbors has been a really kind of nice thing. And I feel like I've gotten to know the people around here more than I have the people I live next door to, you know?
And Clint and Paige are like, Clint, Paige, and Logan are all friends, but like Clint and Paige text about like, hey, are you going to Blazers today? It's like, okay, I'll meet you there. And it's so beautiful. We're so lucky.
That's so cool. In this conversation, you guys have invoked Jenny and the Sports Bra and the 99ers, which I got to go to when I went out to Denver last year, and it's just a gorgeous bar. There are just so many popping up everywhere. A bar of their own in Minneapolis is fantastic, but also here in Brooklyn, Athena Kiki's opened around the same time as you guys did. Wilka's last November or December. There's a really large growing network. And from what I've heard from you guys and elsewhere, this is like a really supportive collaborative when you're talking about community. To be in this space, how have you guys kind of engaged? And it seems like almost a privilege that you're like part of this now, this group, this sisterhood of women's bar owners. And how have you kind of, if you've had the time, reflected on what that experience means?
There is a very active group chat with most, if not all, of the women's sports bar owners, which has been such a, I don't know, unexpected but really cool thing. A great resource, but also, you know, we've worked together on some things. You know, I'm not sure when this will air, but a lot of us are participating in a bracket challenge against each other. That's fun. Yeah, which is really fun. But yeah, that's been a great kind of resource and sense of community.
Yeah, and we talk about it all the time where, you know, someone in the group chat, for example, was worried because another sports bar was going to open around their space. And so, you know, I chimed in because there's, you know, I'm like, yeah, this is very scary because I'm assuming all the women's sports bar owners are like us where, you know, you're going for broke, like you're doing it. And it's very scary to then have, you know, Athena Kiki's and Wilka's, but at the end of the day, like, there are so many women's sports fans and more coming up. Like, if Liberty is packing Barclays all the time with their 18,000 people, like, there's not enough room in the 3 bars in the New York City area for all these sports fans. So I don't think it's about competition. Like, sure, in any business, there's, like, competition that comes from a feeling of it. But we've been very, like, we talk semi-frequently with like the Athena Kiki's owners, and honestly it's not frequently because we're all so busy. But we would see them outside of Liberty games, like, hey, and like we had gotten drinks before a Liberty game. And so it's just like we are all going through this crazy thing for the same purpose, and there is a sense of community in that, and helping one another and talking with each other and supporting each other, you know? And so we have some cool ideas that where we could do stuff, all 3 bars in the area, you know, but if you're building a community, like it just goes with it to then build a community with other women's sports bar owners. So we've been so lucky that they already had a group chat that we got on when we visited 99ers. They put us on, and you got to visit Watch Me. And that's how we got this incredible mural list, because that was their mural list, that she was there. And so it's awesome. It's awesome that we lean into community with this. And we don't let, business or other things get in the way of that, because, Athena, Kiki's and us, it's so nice to see that. It's like we want each other to be so successful. And we are determined to get out there and check their place out, because both bars have been so busy that we haven't been able to support the other. But we are going to get out there. We have talked about it every week. But yeah, it's beautiful.
And honestly, part of the reason why we documented so much of this process, specifically the work we did here, was because we want other people to do this. Like there's room for so many more women's sports bars in this area and across the country. So yeah, we wanted to show that it's doable and people.
It's figure-outable.
It's figure-outable. Everything is figure-outable. People can do it. Yeah.
Looking ahead, what are some goals and dreams for Blazers moving forward?
Well, I'm the big dreamer of us, so I got lots of dreams. No, I really just want us to continue what we're doing. I talk a lot about 1%. Like if we can make 1% improvements, if you do 1% here, 1% there, suddenly you have like 10%. And so it's like that short term of like continuing to put love and improvements into this space. But long term, I want to just be a recognized brand. I want Blazers to, people to understand what it is to know Blazers, to want to come here. Because we've been able to, there was 2 bars before us here. And one of them, Videology, was very loved, and it was open for a long time. So I think that's the main goal for us, is like, we want to be a community bar for as many years as we can. And it's tough, New York, it's the rent, It's a great space, but of course there's a high price tag with it. So there's a lot of challenges, but in general, we just want to be around. Like, we want to be around for as long as we can, and we want to not stop putting love into this. We don't want it to turn into 10 years down the line, we're not around, the place, you don't feel the love as much. So we want it to continue to just be, for as many years as possible, this brand of like hominess and like community and energy for, women's sports, and a place to gather together. I don't know if you guys have different dreams.
Yeah, all of that. And also, I think in like a dream world, we'd be able to open a second location like really close to Barclays, and I want that one to have a pool table.
Wow, I didn't know about this dream.
So yes, all of that. I want to be here for 100 years. I want everyone to be sad when we close. But I also want a pool table.
Selfishly, that's my neighborhood, so I also want that location.
There we go. All right, I got you.
And then we've taken a lot of your time today, so just one last fun one on the way out, although it might be a question that's already answered by the mural behind us. But if any women's athlete could come through, who would you want it to be, and what would you serve them?
And it can't be Mia Hamm.
So it can't be on the mural. We're going off the mural.
To be honest, that wasn't going to be my answer. I already know mine.
Debany, let's start with you then.
Natasha Cloud, if you're seeing this, I'm a huge fan of you. Not only because of you radiate happiness and joy and community itself, but she stands up for so much where it would be better for her. She's talked about this. It would be better for her business, her brand, like if she didn't speak up on a lot of things, but she does. And she also radiates this like happiness and joy, and like, oh God, what you've done for me, just to like see myself in someone where I'm like, oh, I could like style myself differently, and like so many things that I don't think they realize they do for their fans and stuff. So I'm like, man, if we could get Natasha Cloud in here, like I'll wear my Natasha Cloud cutoff shirt. I have a Natasha Cloud shirt that my league all made, like different pictures of Natasha Cloud, and I wear it sometimes in the videos because I'm like, Natasha Cloud. Anyway, that's mine.
You'll have your like poppy crop night.
I got the poppy crop. I got the poppy crop. Yup.
I feel like she would do like a beer shot combo.
Yeah.
We could give her our and one.
Well, we also want to do celebrity bartender nights where we do for charity. So,
that's
Tasha Cloud,
awesome.
if you want to bartend for any charity, anyway, go on.
I don't know, do you?
I know yours.
You want to do everybody's? Are you gonna do everybody's?
She said it.
It's because I'm shy. No, mine, honestly, I think mine would be Sue Bird. She's a local New Yorker, so, maybe.
Yep.
But yeah, she specifically, I think it was, we're kind of like the same height, and she's a brunette. And she came out kind of later in life, and so did I, or came out publicly later in life. And yeah, she kind of personally meant a lot to me, and that would be a really cool thing to have her in the bar.
So far, you
And
guys
Megan too. I like Megan too.
so far, you guys are aiming pretty local. So that's a good goals to have so far.
Yeah. Just makes me feel like I should say,
No, say whoever. What do you think?
truly am honored anytime anybody walks in through our door, even if they're not famous. So I'm like, if anybody wants to come, I would be so happy. I mean, I think Billie Jean King would be so iconic. She's been truly such a living legend for so long. And then, I mean, also like Serena Williams. Talk about, truly like setting the bar like in such an impressive way for so long. What would I serve them though?
Oh, yeah, what would we serve them?
Billie Jean King, I feel like she would want like a martini or something like that.
Something classy.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like we're a sports bar, but we do like a pretty decent dirty martini. I feel like I could give her one of those. And then,
I'm not gonna lie. Shotgunning a beer is not a thing here. I would love to shotgun a beer with Natasha Cloud. Does not like I could die happy. Like I think I would want to shotgun a beer with Natasha Cloud. But so yeah, I would a shot anything. I would just whatever you want, Natasha.
What do you think Sue Bird would want?
A cocktail. Soon Megan retired now. I feel like they would be down to like have a few different ones and try things out. Yeah.
The Pavilion Coach.
Yeah, some of our house cocktails. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. They don't have to be up early in the morning for anything.
Nah.
Make them extra strong.
Yeah.
Caroline, Debany, Chandler, thank you all so much. This was such a fun conversation, and we love this. Like we said, we're going to be patrons at this bar for years to come at both locations. But thank you guys so much, and we're so lucky to have you guys in this women's basketball community in such a different way than we are. And I feel like that just is what this podcast is really all about for us, is that we obviously we love to have our conversations with athletes and with coaches and stuff, but we also love to have these conversations that build out the stories in the world around women's basketball, because I think that's what drew us in, and that's what we love so much about it. So thank you for being a part of it and for taking the time today.
Well, thank you so much for including us in this, because it is tough that we are not at the top level of celebrity status to then put in all this money into this. I mean, we really are just 3 regular people that love this, so it feels so good to then see how much you guys love it. So thank you.
Thanks for
Thank you,
this.
guys.
Thank you.
Pull Up with Myles and Owen is hosted by Myles Ehrlich and Owen Pence. This episode was written and produced by Myles Ehrlich, Owen Pence, Molly Socha, and Kevin Kdot Lewis. Molly Socha is our executive producer.